Hey everyone, welcome to another race in the Metroid Dread Any Percent NMG tournament. My name is Devilor. I'll be commentating today. Our runners are kekumanshoyu and ScionVyse, both very, very solid runners, and two runners that I've had the privilege of seeing a lot of their runs in the past as well. So I think we are in for more than a little bit of a treat here today. And I believe they'll actually be running separate routes as well. I was trying to do a little bit of research just before the stream started. I believe Scion, we kind of saw him during the setup practicing the short boost strategy, and I believe Keku will be going for the early space route as well. So, or separately, excuse me. So this should be more than an interesting run here. This is also, I should note, this is a lower bracket race. So this is an elimination race. Whoever wins will continue on through the tournament, and whoever loses will unfortunately have this be their last run of the race. So definitely a lot on the line here for both of these runners. Scion is, I believe, the 8th seed in the tournament, if I'm remembering correctly, at least in this bracket. And it's important to understand that this bracket, the Mawkin bracket, is absolutely stacked with incredibly solid runners. Yeah, 8th seed in the bracket for Scion. And he's in the same bracket as people like Satorha, like B-Dog, Carter Freak, Arcandy, some really, really solid runners in this bracket. So 8th seed in this bracket is already insane. And Keku as well has been doing really, really well. He was doing some practice runs last night that I had the opportunity to watch along a little bit, and was getting some really solid stuff in. So I'm very excited to watch this race. Hopefully you guys are very excited to watch it as well. And I will be here giving commentary as we go through it. So I believe we're just waiting for the all the final setup to finish, and then we'll be getting started. The race should be starting here in just a moment. We're a little bit ahead of schedule, actually, which is nice. It's always good to be a bit ahead of schedule in a tournament setting. So we'll be getting started here in just a moment. Runners just making sure that they're both all set and ready to go. We'll be getting going here. I should note as well, there are a lot of races going on today. There's a couple that are, at least one that's still currently active. And there was one, if you were here on the SpeedGaming channel just before this race, there was one between Satora and Carter Freak, which was really, really fun to watch. So there's tons of Metroid available for viewing. I'm not going to spoil any of the results of any of those races during this broadcast, but there's tons of Metroid available for your viewing pleasure. During, after, around, surrounding, etc. This this race that we're about to see. There's another one that will be coming up in about 3 hours as well. And that one will be on, let me double check real quick. That will be on SpeedGaming 3 between Sonic Orochi and Ace Breaker. Another really exciting race coming up later today. But in the meantime, looks like we are just about ready to get started on this race between ScionVyse and kekumanshoyu. So we're getting going here in just a moment. Looks like both racers are ready. So as soon as we see these timers start running, we will be off. All right, countdown has begun. About 10 seconds, we will be off to the races here. Both of these runners are, I think pretty much every runner in this tournament is on digital, which is important because that means the load times are much faster. So as this timer gets started here, we will have a little bit of work being done to sync everything up. That will be corrected here before too long. You'll probably see a little bit of pausing on Scion's side at one point as the admins get everything synced up for the broadcasts, but we should be all set here in just a moment. Just watching these load times, I'm always curious. There's a slight amount of variance. Looks like Scion was able to start at just shy of 26 seconds, and Keku will have right at 26 seconds as well. So load times pretty much identical for both of them, which is always good to see. We don't like to see any hitching or any unfair advantages being given in that regard. Oh, Keku actually had a little bit of trouble with that first jump there, which is unfortunate. Not like a huge problem or anything, but just a little bit of a platforming mishap. Let's hope that's his only platforming mishap of the race. Scion is now through the first Atom Room with Keku just behind him, and we'll be heading on into the first climb of the run, and also to the first glitch that we will be allowing in this race. This is the no major glitches category, which means there are some glitches, like usually glitches that allow there's some glitches that aren't allowed. So usually glitches that allow Samus herself to travel through things are not allowed. But in that case, what you just saw there from Scion and from Keku, wow, both of them getting that very first try. Very nice to see. And Scion very quick on the... Oh, no. Okay, so Scion got a very quick second pseudo wave. Keku, unfortunately, he uses a method that allows him to set his aim ahead of time, but unfortunately his controller wasn't set for it. It is allowed in the Switch settings to do that. So he was able to get that second pseudo wave, but he had to actually go into his Switch settings there for a moment to adjust that. Scion now in the middle of the Corpius fight. This is the first boss encounter of the run. Let's see if he's able to get a 2-cycle. Looks like he does. Very, very nice Corpius there from ScionVyse. We'll be able to see if kekumanshoyu can get this as well. There's the first phase, and if he manages to land enough of his missiles, he has missed a few, so he might be in trouble here. But if he can land enough missiles during this second phase, it doesn't look like he'll be able to make it, but it is possible to completely skip this next upcoming section here. He's going to have to shoot that little blob, and that will allow him to go on to phase 3. Scion was able to skip this phase, but Keku unfortunately had to get a couple extra missiles to knock that out. So Keku having a little bit of a rough start here in this race, but there's a ton that can happen throughout this whole run that can change things up dramatically. So it is far, far too early to start counting anyone as a winner just yet. Scion now through the second Atom Room, and he will be moving on to the next kind of cool trick of the run. This one it's kind of debatable on whether or not it's even a glitch at all. I actually don't think it's considered a glitch. There are ways to manipulate Samus's physics and momentum by using sliding off of ledges, jumping off of ledges, aiming in the air, and using a Phantom Cloak as well, which is going to allow him here in a moment to get over a jump that otherwise should not be possible, which in turn will allow him to... actually having a little bit of trouble with those bugs there. Which will in turn allow him to skip a whole section where normally he would have to drop all the way down, blow out a blob, get some water to move around. But there it is. First try water skip for ScionVyse. That was very, very clean as well. Very, very nicely done there from Scion. Keku now just behind as well. Scion will be coming up onto the water platform skip here, which is a similar trick to one that we're going to see a little bit later on. It involves a melee off the wall. And... actually struggling with it a little bit. Fourth try. That's a little bit unfortunate for ScionVyse there. Keku now working on the water skip. That's I believe second try he just had there, third attempt. This trick is very difficult. The water skip that Keku's trying to do right here. It's very, very specific. He's actually just going to go ahead and skip it, drop down into the water below, and not waste any more time on it. Meanwhile, ScionVyse has picked up Charge Beam, and will be moving on throughout the run. And one important thing that this is worth noting out here, as Keku has decided to just go ahead and go through this whole water section, I believe it was intentional that he dropped down here, is that in a race setting like this, oftentimes not losing time is more important than gaining time. So if you can take the safer route in this strategy, the one that requires him to spend less time worrying about the water skip, he's actually going to get water platform skip first try, very nice. Sometimes just not losing time is more important, and will end up being a better strategy in the long run. I believe that's also why we're going to see him. I'm assuming he's going to go for the early space route instead of the faster but riskier short boost, through attack short boost route. There's Charge Beam now for Keku, picking that up. Scion is on his way around. There's a little bit of jumping around here, and he's going to have to do a trick called Magus Skip here in a moment. There's a lot of platforming that he has to go around basically in a big loop right now, so that he can hit a lever, which opens up a door, which then allows him to go on and fight the first Emmy encounter. But he will be coming up to a trick called Maga Skip here before too long. Both runners, by the way, picking up this first energy tank, which is a solid choice. A lot of the fastest runs skip that E-tank at this point, but there are a few damage boosts that can be used early on to gain a little bit of time, as well as a hell run where Samus is basically running through a hot room without Varia suit and taking damage the entire time, which are tricks that can save a few seconds. So if you're planning to go for those tricks, it's not a bad idea to spend the extra time picking up that E-tank just to be a little bit safer.
Uploading data.
Scion now coming up through this Atom Room as we see Keku moving through the same loop around that Scion was just in a moment ago. Scion getting through that Atom Room at about 6:27, exiting the room. We're about to see Maga Skip here. This is an important trick for this whole route because the white Emmy, the first Emmy that he's going to fight, is actually not active right now. So he actually needs to do that little jump maneuver there, run out of the room and run back in to trigger a cutscene, which activates the white Emmy. If he had not done that, he would soft lock the game as soon as he goes into this first control center room, which he will enter right now. See how he does on this control center fight. There's some very specific motion. Interesting, actually choosing to go for missiles instead of beam spam to finish off the brain encounter. But there's some very careful motion that runners tend to take in that room. And we'll see what kill he goes for on the white Emmy as well. There's a few ways to set this up. If he does perfect movement, he can actually get straight up in front of the Emmy here and shoot it right in the face. Looks like that's what he's going for. Keku, by the way, getting Maga Skip first try. Yeah, and so he was actually able to get right up there with perfect movement and actually pop the faceplate before, without having to move around, basically, which saves a very, very small amount of time, about a second or two, but it's a very nice, quick, clean kill on the white Emmy, and he will be picking up a Spider Magnet upgrade from this. We see now Keku is doing the same thing, going for missiles on the brain fight. Before you have wide beam, it actually makes sense to go for missiles instead, especially since we're on rookie mode in this category and in this tournament, which means he has the extra missiles to spare and just firing missiles into that brain encounter. We'll see how Keku does on the quick kill on the white Emmy here. Looking good. He's going to go ahead and play it safe, hop over the head, finish him off on the other side. I have no issue with that whatsoever. It is very risky. And when you're behind, even though he's not a ton behind, it is a sort of situation where it might be a better idea not to take the huge risks that could lose you like 2 minutes of time in cases where you're wanting to make sure that you're wanting to not be more behind, essentially. Scion coming through here. Looks like he's going to go for the damage boost. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. A little bit of a hitch on shooting that door at the end there. He actually managed to shoot like the door frame instead of the door, but that was very, very clean from Scion on the damage boost exiting Artaria. He'll be moving on to Cataris. And Keku not far behind. Looks like Scion entered at about 9:23 going into Cataris. I will try and remember to check as Keku gets through here to see about what a difference that is. Coming up on the damage boost here for Keku. Oh no. A little bit of a hitch there, but he does get the backup. Keku's going to make it through there. That's a trick that can lose a ton of time if you're not careful. So it's going to look like Keku will be about a minute behind Scion at this point. But as I've said, there's a lot of ways. There's a big trick coming up in a moment called Atom Skip. In probably about a minute and a half, there'll be Atom Skip. That's a potential for Keku to catch up. And assuming that I'm correct and that Scion is going for the screw attack short boost strategy, it's possible that if Scion does that very well, that he just gets even more ahead. But if he has any issues with short boost, then that's an opportunity for Keku to catch back up. Cyan's starting to move through this section. If he goes for the damage boost here, looks like he's going to. Nicely done. That was super clean. Very nice damage boost by Scion. Saves about 10 seconds in waiting time to get up there. And we'll now see if he goes for the Hell Run or if he's going to play it safe. This Hell Run, which it looks like he is going for, this Hell Run only saves 2 seconds done optimally. And it is super, super risky. But with that extra E-Tank that he picked up earlier, that risk is mitigated quite a bit. It does look like if he had not grabbed the E-Tank, he would have died there. But made it through just fine. Wow. Very unfortunate positioning on the green Emmy for him there, but he does manage to recognize that positioning and get past it without issue. And he's going to jump up over here, step on a platform, and head back to the left, and then he'll have Adam skip. Keku is also going for a slightly different setup on that damage boost, but oh no! I'm actually not sure why he didn't get that. It might have been his aim was slightly in the wrong direction. Oh, I lied. It's not Adam skip yet. That'll be a little bit later. He does have to get past this Emmy, though, who has decided to hang out in an awful spot. So that was about a 10 to 15 second time loss, I think, there for Scion, just due to that positioning of the Emmy. Keku working through the Hell Run as well. It's going to be close for him, but he does make it. Looks like Scion did not there's an attempt that you can make at a pseudo wave that shoots a shot through the floor to activate that that lever a little bit early. Looks like he opted not to go for that. Instead, just going for the safer strategy, just moving all the way around. It's just a straight time loss if you don't get it, and it's a very difficult pseudo wave to land. So, no issue with that whatsoever. Both runners simultaneously activating different thermal, I forget the exact term for that, thermal something or other. Good positioning on the green Emmy for Keku, so he's able to just run right through there. No problem whatsoever. And now we have Scion coming up on Adam skip. See how he does here. This trick is a lot of very, very precise, essentially frame perfect jumps. Not exactly frame perfect, but there's like a 2 to 3 frame window. And it saves a ton of time, about 3 to 3.5 minutes in total if you do it first try. Both because of routing. Oh, I thought he had it there. That was so close. Both because of routing and also because doing this trick breaks Adam. Very nice. That was about 6th or 7th try, I think, for him. It breaks Adam for the rest of the run, so he will no longer have to stop and talk to Adam at any point, which is part of why we call it Adam skip. So that was about 6th or 7th try, I think, for Scion getting through there, which means that if Keku can get it quickly, Keku's on his way to it right now. If he can get it quickly, that'll be an opportunity for him to catch up a little bit of time here. I know I saw him practicing this just before the race. See if that practice paid off. Oh, that looked good, but he missed that jump right at the end. This looks good. Nice. Okay, that was about, I think, 4th try for Keku. So, opportunity for him to catch up a little bit there. Probably picked up about, I don't know, 8 to 10 seconds on that. Maybe a little bit more. Is still a fair bit behind, as you can see. But if he can keep finding little opportunities to catch up time like that, that could end up being what makes the difference. Nice movement there from ScionVyse, able to get the quick cycle. That's a tough cycle to get that jump because you can't jump immediately. You do actually have to pause for a second before you go up there. So nicely done getting that that jump through that room by Scion. And now he's just working his way out through the rest of Cataris here. Just a little bit of extra platforming and movement around. Should be picking up this E-Tank, and he does. He's on his way to exit. Ooh, that was close from Keku. Nice, he gets the quick cycle jump there as well, off of that magnet. Ooh, actually having a little bit of an issue with the platforming there, Keku did, but not too big of a problem. And as we can see, Scion is now exiting Catarus, and we'll be moving over to the first little segment of Dairon, basically just taking a little loop around Dairon to pick up Wide Beam, and then we'll be coming right back to Catarus to take on the Green Emmy and get more fall. There's the last thermal fuel flow thingy. Switch? Is switch the right term? Lever? Something or other? I'm not exactly sure what to call that. Keku now on his way out of Catarus as well. And they're basically a load screen away from each other right now. So Keku has managed to claw back a little bit of time. I'd say he's probably about 40 to 45 seconds behind right now. Would be my estimate. This whole section through Dairon here is all about just clean movement. As you can see, there's a bunch of little things that you can do that can accidentally lose time, like accidentally grabbing that magnet wall there from Scion. But this whole section is all just movement fundamentals and how cleanly you can move. Doing the quick hops over here, that green bird thing there will actually hit you if you don't have very, very quick hops over those ledges. So nicely done on the movement through there. Unfortunately, he had a couple of accidental ledge grabs, which slowed him down a little bit. You see Keku gets that jump as well. That's another, it's similar to the water skip from early on in Artaria, where you use the slope and Phantom Cloak and aiming to just sort of mess with Samus's physics a little bit and get to a spot you otherwise would not be able to that quickly. Wide beam pickup for Scion. Actually had a little trouble shooting the egg for a second. It's unfortunate. Super clean movement from Keku through this jumping section. That's actually really, really impressive how he was able to land all those jumps, those little quick hops up over the edges. There's one wide beam block down for Scion. Those things can be very finicky. Very, very, very finicky. So anytime you make it through all the wide beam blocks without one of them just bouncing in your face is ideal. Comes another one. This one's usually, yeah, that one's usually pretty cooperative. He'll have one more block here in just a moment, and then he'll be on to Catarus round 2. Keku picking up wide beam. Try to get a sense of the time differential here. Looks like Scion entered the elevator, or entered the, we'll say he hit the load screen at 18:37, I think. We'll see where Keku is when he gets there. He is on the way. Sneaking past the yellow Emmy. Makes it through all 3 of those wide beams, the wide beam blocks. There is one more that they'll have to deal with here inside Catarus. Which is right there. And Keku hit the load screen at 19:18, so about 40-second difference between the 2 of them right now. Which is nothing in the grand scheme of things. Second control room encounter for ScionVyse here. And you can see now that he has wide beam, he's going to focus on beam spam instead of missiles to finish it off. And I'm curious what quick kill he's going to go for on the green Emmy. There's a very, very risky one that you can do called Professor Stupid. Let's see if he's going to go for it. No, he's going to stick to the safer strategy, which is basically just waiting right here, letting the green Emmy pop up, and he'll be able to finish popping it in the face as it's climbing up there, and charge, finish him off right there, no problem. I believe Keku is going to go for the same strategy, but we'll see how he does in the control room encounter here. Actually a little bit cleaner on the first half of the control room for Keku, so possible that he gained about a second or 2 there. There's Morph Ball for Scion. And yeah, it looks like Keku's going for the same quick kill. It looks scarier than it is. It's actually really, really, really safe to get this kill. And it really only is overall like a 4-second difference between doing this and the really, really risky Professor Stupid approach. It saves almost no time in this specific split, but the Professor Stupid approach saves you a little bit of platforming just afterwards. Either way, both runners made it through the green Emmy with no problem. Ooh, Scion almost gets that first cycle, and interestingly, he's actually going to grab that Missile Plus Tank. We've seen a lot of runners starting to skip that Missile Plus Tank in favor of doing Charge Beam spam in the first half of the Kraid fight. So we'll see what approach he takes when he gets to Kraid. And you could see Keku was actually trying to do the basically the hole-in-one on... there's a jump that you can do there to morph in midair and go straight into the tunnel without having to hop up afterwards. Scion actually got that jump when he went through that section. Not a huge time save, but it's pretty cool. Keku getting held up a little bit through that tunnel section as well, but interestingly, he does skip that Missile Plus Tank. So he's going to be a bit behind in terms of missiles. He will have 34 missiles compared to Scion's 44. So we will see what differences, if any, that ends up making when they get to the Kraid encounter. But first, next stop is Varia's suit. So we have a little bit of platforming to do through here. Scion gets the corner shot, saves less than a second, but it looks cool. And now we're going to have the Varia escape as that switch is broken. So everything starts to fall apart. A little bit of, jumping mishaps there for Scion. Scion actually struggling a little bit on this. Wow, that's unfortunate. Not the best Varia escape for Scion. So we'll see if Keku has an opportunity to make up some time there. But there's Varia's suit for ScionVyse. So the Professor Stupid method for killing the green Emmy, in response to Chozo God in the chat, basically involves dropping down directly in front of him and hopping back and forth over top of his head while shooting him in the face, as the Emmy just sort of goes back and forth trying to get control, trying to get a hold of what's going on. It saves very little time overall and is incredibly risky, but it's also very cool. Much cleaner Varia ascent there for Keku. So we'll see if he's able to pick up a little bit of time. Scion activating the teleportal at 23:45. He'll be on his way to Kraid now. Very clean movement through this section from Keku. Of course, as I say that, he unfortunately missed that charge shot there. Not the worst one to miss, just did mean he had to get a little quick charge in. So he has picked up a little bit of time, Keku has. Looks like he's probably about, what did I say, about 30 seconds? Yeah, about 30 seconds behind at this point, which could all change here on the Kraid fight. So we'll see how Scion does as he gets to Kraid. I believe we will end up with both runners fighting Kraid at the same time if these timings hold. So we will see. Scion now entering Kraid. And he is going to go just for missiles straight out of the gate. So part of the reason that more and more runners have started opting for charge shots instead of missiles at the start here, he's going to have to do a charge shot there to finish it off, is just because that allows them to go into this phase with more missiles. He does have 30 missiles, and he actually got some really good RNG from Kraid there, doing the... oh no, he accidentally hit the cutscene here. This is a bit of a waste of time for Scion, so unfortunate accidentally hitting the cutscene there. Looks like Keku is going for primarily charge shots in phase 1, which means that he will have his full missile count available to him going into phase 2. Unfortunately, less ideal RNG for Keku going into this phase. So he will be able to climb up there. We had an overall very clean grade from Scion with just that little mishap of the cutscene. Although with the missile count that he had, I'm actually not certain how much of a time loss, if any, that cutscene actually is. It's possible that because it was so early in the fight, and because he was able to spam missiles the whole time, it's actually possible that it worked out to not be a huge time loss. Either way, as clean as can be for Keku getting to Kraid there with the RNG he was given. So he'll be coming over here grabbing diffusion and moving on to where Scion is. I actually believe that Keku has managed to claw back a little bit more time overall, but I'm not 100% certain. It's hard to tell at this stage. Let's see. Looks like about 2650 as Scion was entering Dairon. So we'll use that as a metric to check here. And depending on where Scion goes in this room, we'll confirm whether or not he's going for short boost or for early space. Short boost it is. Heading to the left through this room means that he's going the screw attack short boost route, not going for early grapple, which is important for the other route. He will end up grabbing grapple a little bit later on. But for now, so you got some good positioning on the yellow ME through this section as well. It's very nice. And what did I say? 2650 on entering, so about 2730. So yeah, still about a 40-second differential between the two runners right now. And I believe Keku will be going to the right here because I think he's going for the early space route. In fact, he is. Yep. So he will go for early space jump. And the space jump pseudo will be coming up later on. So we now have two runners with completely different routes for a little while. These routes do not converge until much, much later in the run. Just real quickly, I guess, discussing some of the differences between the two routes. The route that Keku is running is the older route. It's a little bit more standard, and it does have still quite a few difficult tricks in it that will need to be done. Notably, the pseudo wave for the early space jump method. But it is a bit slower. The route that Scion is going, the screw attack short boost route, involves a very, very, very difficult trick called a short boost, which has to be done also, this particular one has to be done inside a cold room as Samus is taking damage. So it's very risky. You can have a lot of deaths on it if you're not careful. Done perfectly, it saves, I think, 4 minutes over the route that Keku is doing. But again, as I say, it's very, very easy for this route to get to that point and just struggle bus on the short boost for long periods of time. So we will see if this ends up paying off for Scion, or if it's an opportunity for Keku to regain some time. Keku now exiting the early grapple area. He'll be going and following a similar route to what Scion is currently doing, going and picking up bombs. The difference is Keku now has grapple beam, Scion does not, so there's a few things that Keku will be able to do through this section that Scion can't. Especially as we move into Berenia here. We will see Scion have to spend a whole lot more time in the water than Keku does. So from this point on, it's going to be very difficult to actually get a solid read on who is ahead or behind, because they're just running different routes for a while. So we will not know very well exactly how each runner is placing. It'll mostly just be a case of watching and seeing how they handle each section as they come through, and each trick that they need to get through, or difficult section of platforming as they move through the run. So Scion, now we can see having to go very, very far down into the water here. And he's actually going to have to use this enemy above him to even get up there. Otherwise, this routing is not possible if that enemy is dead. movement through here. He does a little quick slide and cloak to just delay that beam creature's attack so that he can get past it without getting hit by it. Interesting, he actually stopped to kill that enemy. A lot of runners will just try and do a slide right underneath it, but he actually stopped and killed it. Scion did. And now he's coming up on one of my least favorite tricks to try and do throughout this run, which is the backdoor entry into Flash Shift. It's a bomb juggle. It's very difficult and very tricky. And you can lose a lot of time on it if you're not super careful. Scion has to do this to continue with the route. It is mandatory. He does get it in a pretty quick amount of time too. So very, very nicely done from Scion. You can see in the top left, he unfortunately did land on the pressure plate as he was entering the room. So he's gonna have to wait a second to leave the room. Just gotta wait for that door to open. Get a little dancing in the meantime. But it is mandatory for this route to do that entry method. It isn't as mandatory for, like, it still saves time for the route that Keku is doing when he comes through this section. But it isn't as mandatory because there is a section down below that you can go through that you just use a grapple block to get through to the proper entrance into Flash Shift. It's like Scion is not opting to go for the pseudo waves in this room. And he hasn't set up a water bomb jump either. He's actually going to wait to set it up here. There are ways that you can use your movement through that room to set up that jump in advance so that he wouldn't have had to have waited long enough or as long to get up to the platform. But he did still get the water bomb jump on the very, very first try, which it's not the most difficult trick. The water bomb jumps can be very finicky, and doing one side to side like you have to do there is rough. So it's still very impressive that he was able to get that. They'll be high-fiving on their way. Actually, this is a different tramway, so they won't be high-fiving on their way past. But both of them on a load screen at the very least in the meantime. But yeah, just I guess real quick explaining what the water bomb jump is. So typically when you're underwater and you try to get altitude using a bomb in Morphball form, by the way, we can see from Keku, we can see the little bit of difference in the platforming through this section. He's just able to open up that grapple block and come right through here. But normally when you're underwater, you are not able to gain altitude if you are mid-air with a bomb jump. You get basically one little hop up in the air from a bomb while you're underwater, and then after that you can't get any more. But there is a minor glitch. I'm actually not even sure if it's considered a glitch anymore at this point, where you can sort of prime a bomb jump and then do a jump bomb and remorph in midair to get some extra altitude. So that was what that trick was. Scion now completing the third control room encounter, and he'll be moving on to fight the yellow Emmy here in a moment. And in the meantime, Keku is going for the backdoor bomb juggle method to get into the Flash Shift room. Keku nails it, no problem. Meanwhile, Scion is finishing up the yellow Emmy. A very nice and clean kill on the yellow Emmy there from Scion. Notice also on Keku's screen that he did not accidentally land on that pressure plate, so he was able to leave that room immediately instead of having to wait around for, I think it's 4 seconds that it takes for that plate to open. We'll see if Keku goes for the pseudo wave method to pop these blocks in this room. Looks like he is. So he's going to have to do a pause buffer to try and aim his shot down into the corner here. Done optimally, this method saves, I think, 15 seconds over going all the way down to the bottom. But that's only if done optimally. He's missed a couple of shots so far. I think he needs one more hit on this one here. Yep, there it is. You can tell it's gone through when the screen shakes a little bit. This does allow him to just skip that bomb jump, that water bomb jump, because it's just not needed. You can go up to the left. But overall, I'm not actually sure if that method for Keku saved much time. I think it did, probably only about 4 or 5 seconds over what Scion did. this is an interesting speed save attempted there from Scion. He was trying to get it to go through that opening there, which would carry him all the way up to here. Unfortunately, didn't quite land it. Very nice speed keep there, though. That's pretty difficult. He has to actually enter a morph ball form as he goes off of that ledge to keep the speed going, but he also has to shoot a door, so he can't morph early, essentially. So it is really tricky to keep that speed through that section. He handled it very, very well. Water bomb jump is not allowed in glitchless. Okay. I thought that was the case, but I know that we've changed some rules around what's considered glitches or not in recent months. All right, here's Keku onto the yellow ME control center fight. Scion now on his way to go grab grapple. Grapple is, I don't actually know if it's fully required for the rest of the run, but it is a pretty big upgrade in terms of time save to be able to grab, and it's just kind of on the way to screw attack in this route, so might as well grab it while you can. Ooh, Scion actually having a little bit of trouble with the platforming there for a second. That is an impressive speed keep. That was very cool. I haven't actually seen that one before from Scion. I don't know how much time it actually saved over just using flash shift, but it was still very cool to see. And he'll be on his way now down to the screw attack, which means very soon we will be seeing the short boost attempts from Scion, which will be a make or break moment for him throughout this run. If he can get them quickly, he will save a ton of time over the route that Keku is going through. If he struggles, well, I mean, I've seen runs where, even within this race, where it took people 8 minutes to get through this section. So here he goes. He's not going for the one-trip method. Gonna play a little bit safe here. Actually come down in here and pop this block first. All right. Grabbing just a little bit of extra health before he goes in. Getting the setup going. He's using a pause buffer method there, and what he was actually doing is looking for a specific frame. He got the save. First try screw attack short boost from Scion. That is massively impressive. Massively impressive. So that has saved Scion a huge amount of time throughout this race. It's definitely going to be very, very tough for Keku to catch up to him at this point. It's basically going to require perfect execution from Keku throughout the rest of the run, and he has to kind of hope Scion screws something up at some point, which is still possible. It is completely possible that still happens, but definitely now Scion's race to lose. That is just so impressive from Scion getting that first try. We now see Keku onto the. So this is the part of the race where these two routes are just so incredibly different. Scion will be heading to this fight that Keku is on shortly, but he will appear to be behind, but he's actually really far ahead because of the way that the route goes. So that was the Quiet Robe encounter, the Quiet Robo, I suppose, encounter for Keku. We will also see, because Scion has screw attack, we will see that fight be very, very different when he gets there. So yeah, at the moment, it's easy to call it a strong lead for Scion because of that first try screw attack short boost. that saves, like I was saying earlier, I think over the route that Keku is going, first try screw attack short boost saves about 4 minutes. It is massive. So Scion getting that first try is just huge for him. He has to be very, very pleased with himself right now. And he should be. That's impressive. It's a very, very difficult trick. It essentially involves a whole series of very precise inputs that kind of trick the game into allowing Samus to begin generating the speed for a Shine Spark while moving backwards during a flash shift. And it's just enough extra time there to allow in that section that they do it in, there is just enough space to get a short boost off to allow for saving a Shine Spark and getting through a section that otherwise you would need. What we'll see Keku do when he gets through that section is he's going to have space jump when he gets through there, which still involves some weird glitchy movement to be able to get up into that section. But it's a lot safer overall, but slower, much slower. So we now see Scion heading on towards the Quiet Robo fight. And in this section here, since he has screw attack, you may have thought that you actually missed that. Unfortunate. You missed that Shine Spark there. But you may have thought that you were watching a Metroid Dread speedrun, but I regret to inform you this is actually Sonic the Hedgehog. So it's just gonna keep using screw attack to basically just Sonic the Hedgehog into the Quiet Robo and get that kill. It's very fast with screw attack. Keku going through one of the cooler speed keep sections right there. And he'll do it through this section as well. I'm curious if he's going to go for the Shine Spark here. He is. So this Shine Spark is actually... Oh no, he actually missed it. That's unfortunate. So he loses a little bit of time there. That Shine Spark is actually very slightly, like in the span of, I think, 5 frames, very slightly slower than optimal movement with Flash Shift through that section. But it is generally safer, so it's worth going for it still. Having a little bit of trouble with that pseudo wave for Drog Skip. Let's see how he gets through this climb here. Oh no, having a little trouble with these enemies as well. He's gonna have to kill that first one, and he's just not landing that second grapple. That is heartbreaking. Having issues through this room here. There he goes, makes it through finally. That's unfortunate for Keku. Another interesting Shine Spark and Speed Keep from Scion. He's finding a lot of little spots to weave those in. Again, I'm not sure how much time it's actually saving versus versus optimal Flash Shift movement, but still very cool to see. I will never be upset when a runner weaves in some extra Shine Sparks and Speed Keeps. Here's another one. That one I'm pretty sure did save some time over Flash Shift. But it wouldn't have been much, like a few frames tops. All right. Scion now headed back to Berenia, and he will be entering the section that Keku just went through. Very nice movement there from Keku. That speed boost up the wall there is actually really difficult to pull off properly. And Keku is going to move on to this fight. We will see Scion reach this fight before too much longer as well. And again, it'll be very different because Scion has screw attack and Keku does not. Which means Keku actually needs to be a little careful there. Does manage to get the kill, but that can be tricky fighting that robot because you don't have a ton of health and you basically just have to spam missiles at him and hope you don't get shot. Speed keep section for Scion through there. See how he does in the second half. He's going to go for the save as well. Oh no. Both runners having a little bit of difficulty with that save. But as you can see, he was able to, with optimal Flash Shift movement, he was able to get past that beam enemy right at the end there, just in the nick of time, so he wasn't slowed down by it. Which is why, with optimal Flash Shift movement, it's actually faster than the Shine Spark through there. Scion having much better luck through that climb right after the Dragaga skip. which is called Dragaga skip, if you're not sure, because it skips Dragaga. Or however you say that. Dragaga? I don't actually know how it's pronounced. I just like to say Dragaga. Dragaga. But yeah, Scion is doing incredibly well at the moment. How did ScionVyse's short boost go? He got it first try. It wasn't the one trip method. He did go through and open up the block first, but he did get it first try. So he's in a very, very good position right now. He'll be moving on to this fight, which again, he's going to open with that, but then Sonic the Hedgehog. Easy fight. No problem. And so Keku now working his way through Elun, or Elun. I don't think we've ever really agreed how the name of this zone is pronounced. Some people say Elun, some people say Elun, some people say Ellen. I will say, I think overall, Keku's movement has been cleaner than Scion's through various sections. Scion has just been nailing this screw attack short boost route, and thus saving a ton of time. When it comes to like the major tricks, Scion has been, well actually no, Scion, it took him like 6 or 7, I think, attempts to get Atom Skip, and Keku got it in 4, 5, something like that. Not a huge difference between the two runners at all on that. But Keku's movement, I believe, it feels at least, it's been overall a little bit cleaner. We've seen Scion getting hung up on a lot of ledges and magnets and stuff. But again, the route that Scion's going and the fact that he got first try short boost means he's just in a commanding lead at the moment. All right, Keku working his way out of Elun now. Nice little maneuver there with the short boost. He's actually going to high five Scion as Scion is exiting the tram right as Keku is entering it. And so let's see. Scion moving his way over to pick up Plasma Beam. Keku's next stop at this point, I'm trying to remember exactly where in the route he is. Oh, it's Ice Missile. Ice Missile is going to be next for Keku. And the blue Emmy. Nice speed keep for Keku. This is very, very difficult. He's doing very well so far. Oh, he got hung up right at the end there, but still, you can see how with the positioning where the blue Emmy was, how important and how valuable that speed keep is. It's allowed him to get all the way over there with a little bit of extra time to spare. We're gonna have a water bomb jump here for Keku. Oh no, we botched it first try. Didn't quite land it. Second try, no problem. And these little mushroom platforms or whatever they are super annoying. It's very difficult to fail the movement through that room, but he did it just fine. Let's see if the blue Emmy is not in the way. So blue Emmy playing nice for Keku. Scion is now onto this Kyoza Warrior fight. He's getting a bit low on health, has to be careful here, but he is able to finish that off. Keku will be sliding through, and you'll note that he did a speed boost there, but he didn't actually keep it. He just instead opted to slide underneath the opening there and jump up and flash shift over. And that's actually faster because of how it manipulates the blue Emmy. It means that the blue Emmy comes through that door faster, so he's able to start shooting him sooner, so he's able to get the kill quicker. So that is the blue Emmy down for Kekumanshoyu. Scion now exiting Elun and will be on his way to pick up Ice Missile himself. Scion getting the second try on the hardest trick in the game, which is remembering to skip that cutscene. It's an easy one to, you get to that cutscene and you're like, oh right, I have to skip here because it's the only one that comes immediately after a load. Scion having a little bit more trouble with the movement through here. In fact, the blue Emmy might catch him. Oh, he flash shifted through the beam. That was very close. That was unbelievably close for Scion. He almost got caught by the blue Emmy there, which would have been very, very bad for him. Moving through the mushroom platforms. Very nice. And we'll see if blue Emmy is in the way. No blue Emmy in the way for Scion entering into this room, which means that so far in this tournament, every runner that I've commentated has not had the blue Emmy in that spot. It is that trend is continuing. So apparently, if you don't want blue Emmy to bully you, ask me to commentate your match. See how Scion approaches this kill if he does the same setup. He is actually going for the Shine Spark method. And you'll see it took him a little bit longer to get over here, and it's actually going to take a little bit longer for the blue Emmy to enter that doorway as well. So you can see the difference between Scion's approach and Keku's approach in terms of Emmy manipulation and getting the Emmy to come through that door so you can shoot him sooner. And yeah, he did have, so there is a quick kill that Scion could have done on the brain fight there. If you can hit the brain with, oh wow, I missed it, but Keku got that pseudo wave very, very quickly for early space jump. So that is very good to see. I didn't actually see if it was, as I was watching Scion at the time, I didn't actually see if it was first or second try, but it was very, very quick, which is good to see. Did not take him long at all. And I interrupted myself in the middle of a different thought, and I've now lost that thought. So whatever I was saying before is now gone to time forever. It was something about blue Emmy, I think. I don't remember. Moving on anyway. First try, awesome. That is so good to see. Ah, yes, the screw attack kill. When the brain is exposed, a single screw attack. Wow, actually, Scion having some trouble in this room as well. That's unfortunate. But when the brain is exposed, a single screw attack will kill the brain. Unfortunately, he doesn't have space jump or spin boost at the point that he gets to that specific encounter. And I'm actually curious if he's going to end up picking spin boost over space jump, because that is an option that some people go for with this route. But without that, you have to do some bomb jump manipulation to get up there and actually hit him with the screw attack. And unfortunately, he missed that on the brain encounter. So Scion is now moving on towards Gravity Suit. We'll be moving through this section. There's another speed keep section through here. Nice, he got the slide save. That is a really, really, really difficult way to save the speed boost there. Oh no! He accidentally hit the speed boost too early, and so now he has to backtrack all the way through this section. That is a very unfortunate time loss for Scion. That's going to be, God, like about 30 seconds he just lost there, at least. He's got to get the speed keep again. And it's now a little bit more difficult to get the speed. Oh, he hit the wall for the door. It's now a little bit more difficult to get it because there's less space. Does have the Shine Spark kept now. There we go. Okay, got it second try. He's going to skip that missile upgrade. He did grab one earlier that Keku did not. And now we see Keku also on the way to screw attack, excuse me. But he's going to have to do a different method for this. He's actually just sort of juggling himself along the top of the water with space jump. And it's definitely not as hard as the short boost method, but it is still quite finicky because if your timings on your space jumps aren't perfect, you can fall back into the water. Second try gets it. A little bit unfortunate that he fell into the water there, but he was able to get it on the second try. There's gravity suit for Scion. These water bomb jumps are not being kind to Keku right now through this section. That is unfortunate. And Scion is going to have to do some shenanigans to get through this section because he, again, does not have space jump. So he's going to do a Shine Spark here. He's got to do a little bit of careful jumping to not accidentally use it too early so that he can screw attack through those platforms and then use the Shine Spark later. And then he uses that infinite bomb jump to get up there. And then for this kill, he's trying to get them both to land on the same platform, but unfortunately having a little bit of trouble manipulating them into place. There he now has both of them on the same platform, but unfortunately not the cleanest of kills on this. And in fact, that parry that he did at the last second there may have actually lost him a little bit of time as well, because while they are in the parried state, they take less damage. Ideally in that fight, and we're going to see Keku get to that before too much longer. Ideally during that fight, you want both of the robots to be on the same platform, or at the least at the same height the entire time, because that way you can hit both of them with your plasma beam shots. And if you're just mashing, you can kill them very, very quickly by getting both of them lined up. Unfortunately, Scion had one of them. Just the way that you move around in the room tends to manipulate where those robots actually go. And the way Scion moved sent one of them to the lower platform, so he was really only hitting one of them for the majority of the time. There is a little bit of RNG to it, but it's mostly like you can manipulate it with your own movement, and you can force the enemy AI getting a little bit ahead of himself there, not quite actually grappling that before he tries to open it. But you can actually manipulate the AI of those robots to force them to be where you want them to be. All right, Golzuna fight for ScionVyse. Doing the back and forth method. See how he does here. Looks like a good setup. Oh no! Okay, so he's unfortunately going to miss the setup for the last Shine Spark on Golzuna there. And thus have to finish Golzuna off the slow way, which is with ice missiles. It's unfortunately much slower. Probably about a 40 to 45 second time loss, not getting that Shine Spark, unfortunately. But he does still get the kill. Yeah, now has cross bombs, and he will be moving on to the worst room in the game, by the way, which is this one, because cross bombs don't like to cooperate. See how he gets through it. All right, he makes it through it just fine. It's not actually the worst room in the game, I just hate it. And Keku will now be going through the teleportal. He's on his way to pick up Gravity Suit. And Scion, I should note also, because I mentioned it earlier, Scion did opt to skip picking up Spin Boost, which means he'll be grabbing Space Jump instead. But that'll be a little bit later on. We've got some other things to do first. Keku unfortunately had to use his first Shine Spark to break the floor. So we'll see how he does through this section here. Very nice, first try. Well, I get technically second try if you count having to use the Shine Spark to break the floor. But that still does save him a little bit of time. Nice first try reverse grapple from Scion there. Keku on his way to grab gravity suit, but first has to engage in just a little light vandalism. Oh no! Keku forgot to break the grapple block. Unfortunately, that's very unfortunate. So losing a bit of time there, has to climb all the way back up and grab the grapple beam. You have to finish your vandalism once you start it. Leave no vandalism unfinished. Oh, that's unfortunate. You can see him laughing along, though, just taking it all in stride. One of the most chill runners, I think, in the entire community. So Keku now has a gravity suit, heading down to... he'll be heading up to the double robo fight. Scion on his way to... I believe in this route, the next thing he's going to pick up is Storm Missile. On his way over to SQ. Exactly. He's so chill, he only takes half damage in cold rooms. That's excellent. Keku having a slightly better time. Not a ton, but a slightly better time on the double robo fight than Scion did. And now we will see Scion move in here. Now, Scion does not have space jump, which means his movement on the SQ fight has to be very particular. You can see he started off with that cross bomb, and now he's just going to bounce off of him in the corner. Very nicely done on the quick kill. Does not look like he's going to get the 2-cycle, though, on the X-Parasite. So 3-cycle on the X-Parasite. Still, though, getting the quick kill, bouncing off of him in the corner, just doing the Sonic the Hedgehog approach. Just bounce off Dr. Robotnik in the corner until he dies. Very nicely done from Scion on that encounter. We see Keku now moving his way over towards Golzuna. We saw him using space jump there. Space jumping up through that room is actually slightly faster than doing the Shine Spark method, just because of the amount of time it takes to generate the Shine Spark. See if he can get the third Shine Spark. Oh no, he stuck just barely too soon. So Keku's going to have to do the slow method for killing Golzuna as well, unfortunately. Now this double robo fight for Scion. Scion will now have to take a quick little detour over here to the left to pick up Space Jump. And he's saving this Shine Spark because he wants to Shine Spark into the room and then flash shift back out. If he does not get this movement very quickly, that door he just went through will permanently close behind him, and he's got to do a whole lot of extra movement to get back around. Makes it back out, no problem. You can see the door just closed right as he exited. So nicely done from Scion. It's not necessarily difficult. It's just very important that that movement be quick and clean. Now Scion will be moving on to fight the purple Emmy and pick up Wave Beam. Now I'm very curious what kill method he's going to end up going for on the Wave Emmy. We've seen a lot more runners recently start doing what's called the Deep Blue method, which involves shooting. There's a switch coming up. By the way, this is going to be a very quick brain fight. He's literally just going to bounce off of him a couple times. Wow, he actually missed it a little bit, so it was not as quick as it could have been. That's unfortunate. But so if he comes out of here, if he shoots the switch twice, not this switch, there's another one right outside this room that he has to shoot to start moving a platform. If he shoots it twice, then for whatever reason that bugs out the water and makes a very, very quick kill on the purple Emmy possible. And he is going to go for it. There's the second shot. So the water will now stay where it is. And he's going to be able to stop right here. This means that the Emmy moves very, very slowly, which does lose a lot of time waiting for it to get around here, but it's going to make this quick kill a lot easier for him because he's just going to literally sit here. Wow, he actually missed a few shots there. This is going to be close, actually. His plan is to just stand here and keep shooting him right until he gets up to him. Looks like he did manage to get it in time. If he had not, for the record, if he had not done the deep blue method and had not gotten the water in place, the Emmy would have reached him because of the shots that he missed. The Emmy would have reached him, and he would have had to either do a whole bunch of very difficult movement to escape or get a parry in. Unfortunate positioning on that Emmy for Keku, but he was able to deal with it quite well. The door actually opened right as he got to that, right as he got to it, and was able to flash shift through no problem. So that's now Wave Beam for ScionVyse. And at the point of picking up Wave Beam, in fact, I believe already now we have seen the... Oh, no, I am wrong. Keku still has to kill... Keku still has to kill SQ here. But at the point where Keku has Wave Beam, that will be the point where the routes have converged. So that helps get a little bit of context on where things actually are at the moment. Keku has less of a trip to take to get from Storm Missile to Wave Beam because he doesn't have to loop around and get Space Jump. But he is going straight to Wave Beam from here. And there's a couple of fights along the way as well. So definitely more than a bit behind, thanks in very large capacity to Scion's first try on the Screw Attack Short Boost. Scion now moving on to the red Chozo warrior encounter. He is going to go for the Storm Missile method. Only 2 locks on that second one, which is why he sent off a couple of extra missiles there. So interesting to note, while the Chozo warrior is transitioning from phase 1 to phase 2, and he's doing his little like scream method, he actually does not take damage. So what you'll see a lot of runners do is actually charge up yet another Storm Missile so that they can unleash that right as he does become vulnerable again and get a little bit of extra damage in. Didn't ultimately matter for Scion because he kind of just shredded him anyway. That was a very, very quick kill on the red Chozo for Scion. But it is a little thing that some runners can do to gain a little extra time. Well, I actually thought Keku got hit by that guy before he had opened the door, but fortunately he did just barely get that grapple door open in time. So Keku will be moving around to the purple Emmy here momentarily. Just a little bit of platforming to do before he gets there. Having a little bit of trouble with those quick charges to get those blocks out of the way. Interesting. So Scion currently has no power bombs. So he's going to have to either farm here or use a... he's just getting horrible luck with these drops. So he's going to have to use a... there's a recharge station right here he's going to have to use. We're just going to lose him a little bit of time. That's unfortunate for Scion having to do all of that. It looks like Keku is not going for the deep blue kill on the Wave Emmy. So he will be going... Oh, he's going for the super risky one. Okay, so if Keku misses... He has to land every, but I think 2 shots. I think 2 shots if he misses them. So far, he hasn't missed any. But if he misses 2 shots here, then the Emmy will reach him. He's going to pause for just a second. Go around the other side. I believe he got it. He got it. He just has to land this shot. Very nice kill. Very nice and clean kill from Keku. It is technically possible to get the kill, or get him to break the faceplate as he reaches you on that platform. But very quick thinking from Keku, just jumping over his head and getting the extra couple of shots in that he needed. Very nice from Keku. Also, Scion getting through the gold Chozo warrior very cleanly as well. So Scion will now be moving on to Ravenbeak, and Keku is now basically just he's doing the same route from here, and he's just a couple of bosses behind. So unless Scion has a lot of trouble on Ravenbeak for some reason, I don't see Keku able to catch up here, unfortunately. But it's still some super fun stuff to watch, and we'll see how both of these runners do. Ravenbeak is also kind of a jerk sometimes, so definitely not something that Scion should just be taking as a given at this point. Oh, he didn't quite make the speed keep there, unfortunately, which isn't like a big deal. It just kind of, you can see it kind of tripped him up a little bit. He was expecting to have it. Scion on the elevator up to Ravenbeak. Keku will be reaching the red Chozo warrior here in just a moment. See how Scion does on phase 1 Ravenbeak. Looks like he's going for the fastest gold skip method. See if he's able to land it. So he's going to go for a quick Storm Missile lock. He does get the double lock. Now just mashing his heart away. And he does get the quick gold skip. Very nice. And I imagine he'll be slowly trying to get Ravenbeak into the corner here. If he can get him mashed up against the wall, it's actually not. If you can get him mashed up against the wall, then Ravenbeak he won't do that sort of stomp to the ground attack that he was doing a couple times there. He also won't do that beam attack. So there's a couple things that make it a little bit easier if you keep Ravenbeak mashed up against the left wall there in that phase. That Scion wasn't quite able to capitalize on, but still got a very, very good phase 2. Keku now getting through the red Chozo warrior, by the way. Scion is going to go ahead and drop the power bomb to kill that sun, which very, very good job immediately recognizing that's what Ravenbeak was doing. See if he goes for the parry here. No, he's going to go ahead and skip it. Okay, it is pretty late in the encounter, so skipping the parry makes sense, as otherwise he's likely to just waste time. Although it may have actually been faster for him to take the parry. Hard to tell. Either way, that is Ravenbeak done for Scion. And he'll be moving on to Ravenbeak X and then the escape section. Keku only slightly behind. He has to get through the gold Chozo and then Ravenbeak himself. So probably about a 2-minute difference overall, which, given that Scion got first try on the True Attack Short Boost, is actually amazing from Keku to be this close in the shorter route, or sorry, the slower route, still reaching this point in the race at the time that he is. The fact that he's basically just the Ravenbeak fight between the two of them is actually insane. Scion just taking a brief pause there to continue on. He'll be coming through the escape section. As Keku is clearing through the gold Chozo and moving on to Ravenbeak himself. I'm curious if Scion is going to go for... There is a speed boost tactic that can be done in this section right here. Let's see if he goes for it. Nope, he's just going to keep moving right through. It's more of a swag speed boost than anything. It saves a very small amount of time, like maybe a second if you do it optimally. Goes for the double jump before the upward shine spark there, just to skip a cutscene. And gets the speed keep, or the shine spark, on this last section. He'll be coming through here, and 1:15:23 for Scion. So Scion will be the winner of this race, but Keku is now entering into the Ravenbeak encounter. We'll see how he does on Ravenbeak. He's also going for the fastest method for the, and actually got it really quickly too. The fastest method for the gold skip. You know, he does here, got the double lock. Very nicely done. And we'll see how Keku decides to handle Ravenbeak in phase 2. Some runners just don't mind these extra attacks. They don't mind having to deal with it, so they don't worry about locking him in the corner. Looks like Keku has eventually decided to just get him over there. It does allow for some of that cross bomb stuff, like you were just seeing, which cross bombs do actually a ton of damage to Ravenbeak in this encounter. That was a method that I've not seen before on the back-to-back shots there from Ravenbeak. And you've seen also, by the way, both runners are using a method to basically get Samus to crouch down, so that when Ravenbeak does that sort of aimed attack on Samus, they're able to just have it go right over their heads. Early sun for Keku, that's unfortunate. It means he needs to clear it out. You technically don't have to. They will eventually go away on their own. That just adds so much extra movement to the fight that it's not worth it to spend that time dodging instead. He's going to skip the cutscene. It's late enough in the encounter that it's probably best to skip it. If you get that that parry mechanic early enough in the fight, it's actually better to take it and do the cutscene, just because you're able to fire missiles a lot faster during the cutscene, so you actually do more damage. But if it's too late in the encounter, then you end up wasting time just sitting through the rest of the cutscene, which is why he skipped it there. So now Keku will be moving on to Ravenbeak X and the escape section. By the way, for anyone curious, both runners you saw delay their beginning to fire the shot here on Ravenbeak X. That's because there's some complicated math behind it. I won't go into all the details. Essentially, you have to have done a certain amount of damage to the boss before he reaches a certain point in the scene. But the actual, like, you don't kill him early if you do that amount of damage before he gets to you. So, and he moves slower when he's being shot. So they delay the initial beginning of the shot. It actually ends up saving like 5 or 6 seconds, I think, to delay shooting because the boss is moving more quickly as he gets closer to you. And so there's a specific visual cue that they look for. Or some runners just count off time and so on. There's multiple different ways to get the timing for it. For me, there's a visual cue that I look for. Keku working through the last little section here. I think we lost audio there for a second, or at least I lost audio, but that's fine. We're just going through the last section of the escape here. And it's looking like it is going to end up being about that 4-minute difference. That's literally just the difference between the two routes as Keku comes to the end here. And there it is, 119. It looked like a 119.17 for Keku just before he was able to hit the stop on that. So GG's to both runners. This means Scion will be moving on through the bracket. And Keku will unfortunately be eliminated. But we do have both runners now in the call with me. GG's, guys. Congratulations.
Hello. Can you hear me?
GG's.
Yep, can hear you.
GG, Scion.
Yeah, GG's. It was a fun race.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was kind of up and down for both of us, it seemed.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that goes in a fight. Oh, you know what was really dumb? I forgot to set my controller up in the
I saw
before I
that.
started. Yeah, I was like,
no.
I was like, oh, oops. Oh well. That's an
Yeah.
instant like 30-second loss right there, but it is what it is.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it was very unfortunate.
But I'm actually really happy of my performance. For most of it, I'm pretty happy with how I did. I can clearly say, or I can confidently say I've done my best, and I am okay with being dropped out of the tournament, so all good.
Well, now you just get to focus on organizing and all of that
Yes.
stuff even more. So,
Yes, exactly.
Getting dropped
Yeah.
out of the tournament is going to happen to all but one of us, so it's not that big of a deal.
this
Yeah,
is true.
that's the one thing I love about these kind of tournaments is it is for fun. For the
Oh,
most
yeah.
part. I mean, I know there are tournaments where money is on the line, but I'm glad that we started this first Dread tournament without any like of that like obligations or pressure kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I was watching the restream and I was so happy that you got the first try short boost. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I'm really happy about that too. Over the last like day or two, I've kind of developed my own little method for the pause buffer, which makes it a lot easier and a lot more consistent for me, as you clearly saw during the race today. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that was very, very good to see. Very impressive to see. I had actually seen when you were practicing and just getting set up while during the setup before the race. I had seen you get the short boost, but then miss the shine spark and actually hit the roof. So I was a little worried for you there at the last second.
Yeah,
but
I was
nailed
during the
it.
practice. I'm more just focused about getting the actual charge. Everything after that doesn't really matter. So
This is true.
it's all good.
And Keku got first try on the early space pseudo as well. Unfortunately,
pretty
didn't
sick.
see it happen at the exact moment because I was looking at the other screen. But I saw you mentioned in chat. That's always very good to see.
I agree. Like getting those hard tricks are like a really nice treat and everything. So I unfortunately have to end my part of the commentary. Not commentary, the interview. But really quick as like an organizer stuff. ScionVyse will be moving on to the Luther round 2. I think the result already had been posted. Who he's playing against next, which is Ednolium.
Yep.
So good luck to you, Scion.
Thank you very much.
For those who have completed their races so far today, I'm not gonna spoil yet, but I'm not gonna spoil during the commentary. But like, congrats on those who have made it, and for those who are still pushing on through, good luck. And I look forward to seeing even like, this tournament is going awesome. Like I'm really as an organizer, you know, but the first Dread tournament is like, super exciting. But I do have to end my time here, so sorry. But thanks to San for your race, and thanks to Devlor for commentating. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Yep. Bye. So Scion, as he just said, you're going up against Ednolium in the next round. How do you feel going into that next race? How are you? Where are your thoughts at with that one?
I'm gonna treat it like every other race and like fight for my life at every moment, because like Keku is sick, and I know that his like PB is like a low 117, which I can definitely lose to, and I'm pretty sure Ed's around the same level, so I'm gonna need to play my best no matter what just to keep up. And even with the route difference, it's gonna be difficult because Ed is amazing too. So I'm just gonna play my best and see how it goes. Hope for first try short boost every time.
Yeah, that short boost route, it's definitely like when you're very skilled at it like you are, obviously, it saves a ton of time doing it very quickly, but it's still like it's gotta be as you're going through it the whole run. Like obviously Adam Skip earlier on is another one of these cases where it's something that you could just accidentally lose a whole bunch of time to. But
I have done that many times in this tournament as well. So.
Yeah, we even saw like runners. God, there's so many runners who have gotten to that point and then just gotten stuck on like best in class runners, like yourself and like people that I remember there was one that I was commentating with B-Dog where he got stuck on it for like 5 minutes.
Justin did it as well. Yeah. Justin had to go around. That was unfortunate, but.
So that has to be something that's just like looming in the back of your mind up until you get to that point. Like I imagine once you're past it, like after you've gotten a first try short boost, Like, to be clear, this is not a route I've even tried. I do the old route still. But it's got to be something that, like, once you're past it, you're like, okay, cool, easy running from here on. But the whole rest of the run, that's got to just be looming in your mind. Like,
oh yeah, it's incredibly stressful even when you're not doing it, just because you know it's coming up, and you know that if you screw it up forever, you just lose. So that stress doesn't go away until the spark is done.
Yeah, I can imagine. So yeah, I actually had one other question that I wanted to ask you about. I've seen a lot of runners start going for spin boost over space jump, actually. Curious what your thoughts are on the difference between those two in that route.
I mean, spin boost probably makes the mid game easy, like specifically like Golzuna and stuff like that, but I feel like space jump has more benefits and doesn't really take that much time, if at all, compared to it. So I just like going for space jump. If spin boost is a little bit quicker, like a second or two, I'm not going to worry about it too much. So yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it's been hard to tell through the runs that I've watched and commentated. It's been hard to tell if there is actually an overall time difference between spin boost and space jump. So it makes total sense to just treat it as which one you're more comfortable with.
Yep.
Well, all right, awesome. I guess we can start wrapping up here. Any final thoughts, shout outs, anything you want to mention before we head off?
No, I think I'm good. Well, yeah, hope to see you in the race soon, Ed, because I know you're watching. So hopefully it'll be good.
I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be. I've gotten a chance to watch a lot of and commentate a lot of Ed's runs in the past as well. They're always fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that one myself. There is also, I should mention again, there is more Metroid Dread tournament coming up later today as well. There is a match between, let me find this again. There's a match between Sonic Orochi and Acebreaker, which will be in about an hour and a half, and that'll be on SpeedGaming 3. So anyone who's still kicking around, wants to see some more Dread runs today, keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, thanks again, Scion, and GG's to you, GG's to Keku as well. Yeah, this was a fantastic run to watch. Awesome. Well, that's it for us. I'll go ahead and sign off. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next mission.